A poor blacksmith was offered a mountain of gold, enough to live like a lord, but there was a catch. The weapon he'd make would spill innocent blood. In the harsh winter of 1193, when most villagers were just trying to survive, a tiny English village where smoke curled from chimneys and values were forged in fire. What happened next? It's a story that still speaks to us, hundreds of years later. Thomas the blacksmith didn't own much, just a small forge, an anvil worn thin from use, and a shed that groaned in the wind. But he was known for something rare. His word meant something. If Thomas said your horseshoes would be ready by dawn, they were. If he promised a sword strong enough to protect your family, it held. One frozen evening, a royal carriage pulled into the village, not for a feast, not for a decree, but for him. A messenger, cloaked in velvet and arrogance, stepped inside Thomas's forge. He unfurled a scroll sealed with the king's crest, and read, "By royal order, you are to forge a blade, a very special one. Payment will be 100 gold coins." Thomas didn't blink. He asked, "Who's the blade for?" The messenger paused, then smirked. "An enemy of the king, the kind of man who won't live long enough to use it." The fire cracked. Outside, the wind howled. Thomas stared at the flame, then looked at his cracked hands. Hands that had fed his children, fixed neighbors' tools, built a life on honesty, hammered, one swing at a time. He wiped sweat from his brow and said quietly, "I don't make blades for cowards who send others to do their killing." The messenger frowned. "You realize this is treason?" Thomas nodded. "I also realize my children will sleep cold this winter, but I'd rather them shiver in truth than be warmed by blood money." The messenger left in silence. No threats, no gold, just the creak of a door and a man who stood taller after it closed. And something changed in the village. People spoke of Thomas, not as the poor blacksmith, but as the man who said no when the price for yes was his soul. In life, gold will show up dressed as opportunity. It will tempt you to bend your values just this once. But what's easy to gain is often expensive to live with. Thomas lost a fortune that day, but he kept something far more valuable, his peace. And peace, that's something gold can never buy. Because in the end, what we stand for matters more than what we stand on. You heard this phrase earlier, a man's word is his bond. It means your promise is as strong as a contract. You don't need fancy papers, just character. And Thomas, he didn't need to shout or prove anything. He simply lived in a way where people trusted his word. In today's world, where people ghost, backpedal, and shift stories, being someone whose word is solid is rare and powerful. Have you ever walked away from something shiny to stay true to yourself? Or known someone like Thomas, quiet, firm, unshakable? Share your story in the comments. We read every one. This is Fabelopedia, where small stories carry big truths. Subscribe for more stories that hit home.